Marketing and advertising are the same things. If you have a product which is being portrayed to people, you don't need a content behind it. Product will just serve its purpose and make sure that the customers are understanding what to buy. Everyone who sees the content or ad which is being displayed should be our customers. Let me tell you all something. This is not how a campaign or a marketing strategy works. You can't just prioritize on your product and not focus on the customers. You have to involve yourself when it comes to innovations. Thinking about innovations, I'm going to tell you 3 stories that our brand companies have used which have actually given immensely great results. These are the case studies I went through and want you guys also to understand how innovative contents can actually get into people's mind. I'm Varsha and welcome to the Freedom Business English channel. Do not forget to subscribe and download our Freedom app. Continue to watch this video because I'm going to tell you these 3 stories that can also help you to understand the marketing strategies, including a lesson. Just to know the genius marketing strategy you can learn and implement if possible. First story that I'm telling you is about Red Bull. We all know the drink Red Bull. It's a non-alcoholic drink, but it also tastes good for some people, but some people have reported saying that it's not that great. But Red Bull, no matter what people think, have always stated their standards high. This is one of the reasons why Red Bull company kept on going, because they had immensely effective campaigning skills. Their campaigning skills were so good, Red Bull had their great ways of promotion. I would call them a marketing genius because they came up with one of the plan that nobody else did. This is only possible because they had amazing marketing strategy. Let's go back to the story when it started. This happened on October 14th of 2012. Where they had this immensely good marketing strategy by letting a person take one complete risk, and this company had to do it because you can achieve nothing without taking a risk. I'm going to tell you this genius plan that they came up to market their brand. So Red Bull came up with this one amazing plan called as Stratos. This actually involved a man jumping from the stratosphere. Their plan was to take a man to the stratosphere where he would jump and have the record of the highest free fall. So these people actually got hold of a professional skydiver called as Felix Baumgartner. The best part of this is that they spent $65 million for just the social and promotional campaign. This was one of the great strategies, I would say, because they showed the world this was one of the challenges they would do, and this actually caught the eye of a lot of people by telling Red Bull was the brand. Initially, people thought Red Bull might be crazy to do such a stunt by involving $65 million and investing in just promotion and campaign. Everyone thought that this plan would be a failure, but the result was something else. The result actually shook the world. They had 8 million people who were live streaming at that point, and these were the YouTubers. This was another way of promotion which was never paid. One of the greatest advantages added to this kind of stunt was that this particular video had the greatest advantage because this was the most watched video on YouTube in the history. It got 52 million views on webcast. It was telecasted on 70 TV stations, 3.2 million tweets, and 72 mentions telling #Red Bull, and 22,000 Instagram photos, and more than 1 lakh Facebook shares. As we talk about all this, obviously the TV stations and the newspapers would definitely report this entire event. They caught the eye of all these channels by just the social media promotion that they did without even their knowledge how much this actually reached. Eventually, they got a load of PR. It was an astonishing fact when we realized that Red Bull actually spent $65 million on the entire campaign. But their turnover for each marketing happened to be more than $1 billion. This is one of the far greater things when you imagine in the scale of marketing. Eventually, going by this, their sales rose up and above by 7% in just like 6 months. This was the greatest turnover that they can have, and their entire revenue income was $1.6 billion over the time. Next, we move on to the case study of Ford. We all know the history of Ford, but what we don't know is the marketing strategy that they used, what gave them the highest views, and what gave them so much good marketing. As we all know that Ford came into existence over the 1990s, and they were doing immensely good when it came to the promotions. Over 2006 and 9, they were equally developed when it came to their sales and revenue. What is that one thing that boosted the entire Ford company to the cloud 9? I'm going to share with you this marketing strategy that they particularly used for their brand. Back in 2009, social media was just a baby. It was still blooming up to the world, and people were still figuring out how to use social media. When Ford was still in their traditional ways of marketing when it came to TV, radio, newspapers, and billboards. This was their common ways, still their sales were doing really good. They couldn't actually determine what was doing good to them. Was it the TV, was it the newspaper, or was it the billboards which was giving them good returns from the customers? They were still not able to identify what was their good ways of promotion because they were still figuring out which was their active platform which was making their sales good. They were still figuring out if it was the combined efforts of all the four medias that they were promoting on. Ford spent billions of dollars on their great ambassadors who were promoting their brands, and they made sure that their sales happened in great by giving the high notes to great advertising. They had their own marketing strategy back then, but one strategy changed the entire look of Ford. This was one of the ways that they used, and they did not know that social media was one of the major pipelines that they could go ahead with, and this could be their greatest fuel for this promotion. Back in 2009, the smart man called as Scott Monty came up with an idea. This idea changed the revolutionary cycle for the entire Ford. They never expected this to have a huge impact until and unless they put this into process. So getting back to the year 2011, Ford was actually marketing their one of the new Fiesta models in UK. So getting back to the year 2009, they were planning about a new marketing strategy. So that is where social media was not much into limelight back then. They handpicked about 100 influencers and gave them the new car for 6 months. And this 6 months, they had to go around the world, use them and make videos about them, tell the experience of the car and how comfortable the car was for them and how useful the car is for the customers. These were the few tasks that the influencers got over the 6 months, and they had to just make videos and tell how their journey was with this particular car. But eventually when this was happening, people thought it was just a marketing gimmick and nothing good can come out of it. The entire automobile industry was shook to know that this campaign turned out to be the most successful campaign. Well, talking about visibility, it got 6.2 million YouTube views and more than 750,000 views on Flickr and 40 million Twitter impressions. If we are talking about sales, they did wonders in this. They got more than 50,000 customers near their doorstep to buy this particular product. And literally 6,000 of them pre-ordered this Fiesta car. And talking about the most success rate is that 97% of these customers were the first time buyers. Well, marketing actually teaches us to get customers, you have to gain the loyalty of customers. And this trust is entirely different over the time. These people actually did 1:10 times of customers that you can get in the normal campaign. The real great part of this strategy was that they got in new people into their brand, and they actually did great job in getting new people in their brand. It's better than selling to the existing customers because as new people keep coming, you keep increasing in sales. This was named like the Fiesta movement, which happened to be the most successful campaign when it came to the automobiles. And best part of this campaign was that Ford could actually determine what type of customers did they get and what are the people actually looking for and what type of new products can they get into the market. This was one of their added advantages that they could determine by just this crowd. They could see what type of new potential buyers are waiting for their next new product. Talking about the best strategies, when we don't talk about this particular company which came up with a lot more different types of campaign, it would just be a waste. And this particular company is recognized worldwide. This company is particularly called as the Coca Cola, and we all remember the tagline which goes by saying, "Share a Coke." This particular marketing strategy was called as sharing around the world. Of course, this particular act called as Share a Coke was launched mainly in US, and this turned out to be the most historical campaign of Coke. This actually began in the late 2011 in Australia and New Zealand. This particular success of this campaign was so nice that they replicated this all over the world. When I talk about the particular ad campaign that happened in Australia, is that most of the Australian youngsters had never tasted Coke. But this particular campaign changed the entire face of Coke overnight. They had installed Coke everywhere in the supermarket and every place accessible to the crowd. But when these people actually started tasting the Coke and started posting, Coke actually used a revolutionary idea by making their customers their brand icons. They made sure by telling this Share a Coke code where everyone over the place started sharing their entire perspective of Share a Coke. This actually resulted in a great social media perspective of attention and also increased 7% of consumption of Coca-Cola in the Australian youngsters. And this particular ad actually conquered 18 million views over social media. In terms of Facebook page, when it comes to the Coke brand, earned 39% of more followers, and the visitors to this particular page shot up to 870%. The Share a Coke campaign was expanded over 20 global markets, including those in UK, China, and Brazil. This was completely an unexpected act, but why this was such a great achievement was only because these people actually showcased, projected the appeals of their brand ambassadors as their customers. What better way can you directly actually capture the person's mind by just putting his or her name directly on the product? This was one of the added advantages when their picture was directly on the product by telling share a Coke. This is of course a realistic and a great strategy which turned out to be the most brilliant ideas presented by Coke. Many companies stood behind when this campaign hit the great success that they were never expecting. Another aspect of this ad was it was so narrative that everyone could remember and tell that when their picture was casted over the product. This campaign actually told the storytelling and narrative side of their brand ambassadors and sharing their experience with the Coke. This actually was a big plus when it came for Coca Cola. So these were the basic and different type of innovative ideas and marketing strategies that these brands used. And these were the couple of ideas that still stuck onto the people's mind. If you want more ideas about marketing, you can actually go and have case studies on more brands because there are so many brands which have come into existence when it comes to ideas of marketing. Hope I've given you good information when it came to the genius marketing strategies of marketing and branding. You can download our Freedom app because it teaches you step-by-step process of doing so. Innovation is something that you have to learn for yourself and your creative mind. If you like this video, do not forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you want me to tell you about more case studies like this, do comment the name. Thank you so much.